Pizza, no rush, feel free. Continue grabbing food when you can and then have a seat. We're just excited about tonight's conversation, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first Innovate State of the spring semester here at Michigan State, and welcoming those that are tuning in from afar and going to be watching the live stream after the fact. My name is Chris Sell. I work with alumni and do fundraising as part of my role with the Burgess Institute, which runs the Entrepreneurship Innovation program here at Michigan State. How many first-year students, freshmen, here in the audience? Excellent. And then let's look at the flip side. How many seniors, fourth-year students? Wonderful. Awesome. So we've got a spectrum first through fourth here in the room tonight. I asked because I think tonight's conversation is going to be really poignant in a lot of ways. You're going to be able to hear about someone who's been really successful in a lot of different arenas. And you can start to hear the seeds that were planted for entrepreneurship from our guest when he's talking tonight at a really early age. And so, yes, you might know our esteemed speaker tonight from his career as a professional athlete, a former student athlete at MSU. But I remember when I first met Mr. Adams almost a year ago now in February in Dallas, and we sat down and had coffee, and he's not very tall, so I towered over him, of course. And
intimidated him?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Chris is very intimidating.
Yeah. And it was just a neat conversation to hear more about his career and how things had changed from when he was a student to where MSU is now. And as he got to tour campus today, he's kind of made the observation over and over again that the MSU campus today looks way different than it did when he was a student a number of years ago. And so it's just really exciting for him to learn about the entrepreneurship program we now offer at MSU that didn't exist when he was a student. And I think it's really neat for him to be able to share his platform and talk about his career as an entrepreneur, an innovator, a founder of a nonprofit, successful business owner in multiple industries. It's really neat for him to talk about his identity post-professional career. You know, a lot of us, we don't know what we're going to be when we grow up. I'm almost 40. I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. You might be in this room thinking, I'm going to change my major 3 times. I'm going to have 7 or 8 different jobs, 3 or 4 different careers after I graduate. But be thinking today about what mindset you can gain here at MSU in our program that you'll be able to take those skills with you no matter where you go. No matter which industry you pursue after this. Just a few housekeeping announcements. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship at Michigan State, we've got several flagship programs coming up. Our next Innovate State is a couple weeks from today on February 5th. If you are interested in 2-day venture, you know, some of the students here are probably in eShip 190. They may have Professor Smuziak as their instructor. Know that you're going to hear more and more about this, but 2-day venture is an incredible program that we're going to be running next on February 7th and 8th. And the registration deadline for that is January 31st, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're going to need you to sign up for that ASAP if you haven't already. Again, a wonderful program that whether or not you've got a plan for an idea that you want to bring to the marketplace or not, doesn't matter. You're going to learn a ton. And it's just a highly enjoyable experience. So again, that's February 7th and 8th. We need you to register by January 31st. The last thing I'll mention, save the date for Burgess Venture Challenge, which is Thursday, April 3rd. That is our flagship student pitch competition on campus. Again, that's several months from now. You're going to hear more updates and reminders from me about that. And rest assured, we've also got a startup career fair. So if you're interested in working for a high-growth venture, a startup of some kind, and you'd like to connect with employers that are recruiting top MSU student talent for job opportunities, we are hosting a startup career fair in this room, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday, February 18th. So again, save the date, Tuesday, February 18th. We're going to have upwards of 20 or more startups in here that are hiring and looking for students like you for really dynamic career opportunities. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our guest here this evening, Flozell Adams, and my colleague, Ken Smuziak, for what promises to be a great conversation. If you could join me in welcoming them to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome, Flozell.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank
man. So this is the kickoff of the spring semester Innovate State. Really exciting for me. We treat this kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like a podcast kind of style interview. So we can riff. We can go down any rabbit holes you want to go. I got my prompts. We talked through some of them. Should be a lot of fun. But for me, it's pretty fun to have this opportunity because Flozell, you were one of my favorite athletes here at Michigan State because you graduated in '98, right? Yes. So it was like middle school, high school for me. Nick Saban era football here at Michigan State kind of turned us back, which is good. So I want to start there. what was it like being a recruited college athlete and grew up in Chicago? And how'd you choose MSU? And what about your time in MSU was formative for you? Like,
Actually, just like I told you earlier, I had committed to Illinois University being a recruit, and all the national letter of intent signing was on February 3rd. And I visited Illinois, Northwestern, Michigan, and
Freudian slip.
yeah, I'm sorry, and Michigan State. So out of all the schools, I liked Michigan State. So not knowing what college was about when I was coming out of high school, because I just started playing football when I was a junior. So I never played football before, and I just picked the school that everybody thought I should go because I came from the Chicagoland area. But meanwhile, while I picked that school and I had visited Michigan State, I found out I liked Michigan State better. So years later, I had found out that my mother had told a recruiting coordinator here at Michigan State named Pat Shermer to stay on me because she knew that I liked Michigan State, but I had chose Illinois because that's where I thought I should go. So meanwhile, the national letter of intent signing was on February 3rd. 3 o'clock in the morning, I had called Pat Shermer up, and I told him I changed my mind. I want to go to Michigan State, and he said, "Oh no, we gave all our scholarships away." He said, "I don't know what we can do." He said, "Wait up, I'll call you back." So at that time, he had called Coach Saban up, and Coach Saban just said, "Give it to him." So I ended up getting the approval to come to Michigan State from Nick Saban, and that's how I started.
The rest is history.
Yes, the rest is history.
Yeah. What about your time at Michigan State did you enjoy most? I think it's fun to hear. Yeah, obviously, campus has changed a lot.
Yeah.
But what was it?
Well, I like the first thing I knew about Michigan State was the athletes football. So that's all I knew because that's what I had experienced when I had visited here a couple of times. I just like the overall camaraderie with the players and everything and how they stuck together and how they made it very welcoming for me to be here. And, after I got here, just meeting regular students, everything, it seemed like home to me.
Yeah.
Like 4 hours from home, it seemed more like home to me. And it wasn't like that at the other universities that I had visited. So that's what convinced me to come, just to feel like it was home away from home.
Love it. And then 4 years at Michigan State,
Yes.
highly successful career, and then second round draft pick.
Yes.
Yeah, to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
What is that like going to the NFL? You've only played football for high school. You started your junior year. You've been playing football for 6 years, and now you're a top NFL pick.
Actually have I'm gonna have a whole bunch of funny stories today. I remember at that time when I was here, the Dallas Cowboys were winning.
Yeah.
And I stayed in West Wilson. So, we have Super Bowl parties there, and we were like 20 guys in the room and other students, everything hanging outside the hallway when the Super Bowl was on. And, we didn't have a lot of money or anything. We bet $5, $10 on the game, and I used to always bet against the Cowboys.
Always.
I always bet against them.
How life works, right?
Yeah. I bet against them, and I couldn't, for some reason, I just couldn't stand looking at Troy in the face. I didn't like looking at his face, so I just like they always won, so I'm going to root for the underdog. And when I was going through the recruiting process, when it was coming through, after I finished with MSU, you got to visit teams, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Raiders, Kansas City, New York. You had to actually go to each one of those cities. And I remember I went to like 10 cities in 6 days.
Yeah.
It was sometime on a plane twice a day just to visit those cities when they go through the recruiting process. And the last place I went was Cowboys. And they're the ones that showed the least interest out of all the teams. And then they projected me to go first round, and I didn't go first round. I ended up falling to second. And I didn't know, I wasn't even watching television, because sometimes you see on television where people gather with their families or anything like that, because I was just with my dad and uncle and a couple of other relatives, anything like that. So I go to first round. I just went in my room and I fell asleep. I was like, that's it. So I remember my phone rang in my bedroom, and then this guy was on the phone, and he said, "This Flozell Adams." And I said, "Who is this?" He said, "It's Jerry Jones." That's how he talk country. And I said, "Quit playing." I thought somebody was playing on the phone. I said, quit playing. He's like, no, this is Jerry Jones. I was like, oh, really? He said, we have the next picker. I want to know if you wanted to be a Cowboy. And I said, yeah, pick away, man. Pick away. So that's how I ended up in Dallas.
Yeah. And what, 12 years there? 13?
12 years,
12
yeah.
years there. Yeah. All right. So Dallas became home. Was there anything about your NFL journey that you think kind of set the stage for you to get into entrepreneurship?
That was what do you mean?
Like, was there anything in particular about that ride that you were like, okay, post-football, these are the things I want to get accomplished? Like from a business perspective or anything like that? Like were you influenced by anyone along that journey that kind of set the stage for you to break out on your own after?
Well, obviously, when it comes to the game of football, you want to go to the biggest dance, the Super Bowl. And you always try to do that every year as best you can. But unfortunately, you have to deal with the other people that are on the team that's probably not trying as hard as you are to make that goal, to make that dream come true. But meanwhile, while I was in there, I was always thinking about what I'm going to do after it. And just like I talked to a couple of the students earlier at Burgess, I don't know if they're in here today, that I thought I was going to last about 5 years.
Okay.
And I never knew that I was going to go 13. I thought I was just going to do 5 years. So at about the second year and third year, that's when I started planning on what I want to do after football, because I knew at that time that I'm going to be like one injury away, one knee, shoulder injury, whatever like that, concussion, of being done. And usually when you do that, all the doors shut. So you can't use like a whole bunch of information that you can use while you're playing. So I took advantage of that and started my business while I was, still playing, so I'll be able to have something before, something that happened if I got injured or anything like that.
Yeah. And when did you kick off your nonprofit as well? Was that while you were also playing?
No, I did the nonprofit after I retired.
After you retired, okay, cool. So were your first foray into entrepreneurship as a player, was it around real estate then?
I got into real estate because my family was in real estate growing up.
Yeah.
Like especially in my teenage years, my father and my uncle had bought some couple of flats in Chicago, and they used to renovate them and then rent them out. So I was always around that in the early years, and I always had that sense in my mind that, not at that particular time that I thought that's what I was going to do, but it was always in my mind.
Okay.
So, I kept that with me. And then once I got to Dallas, I had the opportunity to pursue that, and that's what I did.
Okay, yeah. So you could actually use your NFL earnings to start investing in homes and commercial properties, those types of
Yes,
things?
yes. I used some of the earnings that I had to invest in one home.
Yeah.
The first
One
time,
home.
one home.
So I was told I'm supposed to ask about your first flip. I heard it was a funny story. Someone said
Yeah,
your first home flip was...
So when I first got to Dallas, they have this little thing that you go to the stadium where the local small business vendors participate in, selling, their product, whatever it is. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna sell some clothes, some shoes, or anything like that. And the rookie players had to go. So I had met this family there, a Hispanic family that was very, very nice, and I was comfortable with them. Michelle, the lady in particular, she welcomed me and her family, her husband, her kid, her sister, and her dad, and her mom, and we were friends. We hung out and all the other stuff, and we talked and everything amongst each other. And then I always mentioned the real estate thing, and her father was a general contractor. So about 3 years after that, we were talking. She said, "Do you remember when you were talking about, maybe doing something real estate?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "You ever thought about it anymore?" I said, "Just a little bit." And she said, "I have this, maybe we can do some stuff." And I said, "Okay, let me know." So about a couple of months later, we had, she said, "We can do a flip." I didn't know what a flip was. So she had explained to me what the flip was, where you just buy a house and then just flip it, because when I was growing up, it was rental.
Right, yeah.
So she said, "We got this house we can, flip." I said, "Okay, I'll take a look at it." So, and at first, I'm always want to know what the cost is before I even look, because if it's going to cost a certain point, I'm like, I'm not even going to bother to look at it. So as I told a couple of students earlier that, when I go into a business sense, I'm always thinking about, because you're like, oh, people want to come to you and say, you can make so much money, you can put $50,000 in and make $150,000. I believe that's incorrect. if you go into a business, in my opinion, you take it how you want it. I'm thinking about how much I'm going to lose. Because at any time, it can go one way or the other. It's not going to go 60% here, 30% here. I'm thinking like, okay, if I go into this, how much I'm willing to lose.
Right.
So at that time, that house was, dang, I forgot, I just said it earlier. I think it was like $36,900, something like that.
Okay.
And if something like that, give or take a couple thousand. And I said, okay, let's see this house. So we went to the house and they pulled up to it and I saw a tree like right near it. So we walked in the house and the tree was going through the foundation and went straight to the roof. I turned around and looked at Michelle. I said, you sure it's the right house? She said, oh yeah. That's it. She was looking at me like there was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
And then I looked at her father. I said, his name was Julian. I said, Julian, it's a tree going through the foundation into the roof because you can see the sky. He's like, oh yeah, we can fix it. I said, you can fix it. It's a tree going through the roof. He said, oh, yeah, no problem. So I went home and they told me everything they can do. And I thought about it for a couple of days, a week, anything like that. And I thought about how much I'm willing to lose. So I said, okay, and how much it's going to affect me if I lost this money. And how long it's going to take me to make that money back if I lost it. So I said, all right, I rolled the dice on it. And I put the money in it, and no, I'm incorrect when I start. It was $15,900. I put like $40,000 into it. Okay. So the house was $15,900, and then I said, okay. So you do it in installments. So I really wasn't convinced they can fix a house with a tree going through the foundation to the roof.
Solid.
So I just gave it in installments because I didn't want to, risk losing all the money. So I gave them a little bit here, a little bit there. And like 2 days after I signed at the title company, the tree was down. I went to the house. I'm like, oh, you guys got that tree down real quick. And then she said, I told you it was no problem. And then 2 days later, they had sawed it down and took the roots out and did the foundation. I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then 4 or 5 days later, they fixed the roof. I'm like, this is really, really going well. So I was like, all right, I'll throw all my chips in. So they had finished the house and did everything they needed to do the renovation and everything. I put about $40,000 into it. And probably I came to about $55,000. And I ended up selling it 3 months later for $89,900. Right. And my profit on there after paying the realtors and the contracts and it was like $22,000. Yeah. So at that time, $22,000, I was looking, I'm 22 years old. And even though I'm in the NFL, I mean, you wouldn't get that return at banks or anything like that or any type of investments or anything. So I said, $22,000. I said, let's do another one. Yeah. So we ended up doing another one. And one became one, and we finished it. Then it became two. 2 became 4, and 4 became 6. So it just started building on from there.
Yeah. How many homes have you renovated, sold, flipped?
Total with flips, and I mostly do new builds now, and I probably do about 400.
400 homes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, when you're doing new builds now, are they in existing communities, or do you do like subdivision type developments?
I've done subdivisions. I do new builds right now, and I do flips by opportunity. Yeah. If something pops up, I'll do a flip, but I don't solely look for flips.
Yeah. And the Dallas market's wild now, right? I mean, the amount of growth you've seen probably.
It's been like that since day one. Yeah. And there's not been a lot of talk.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, because they put it on TV right now, but it's always been like that since I lived there.
Yeah, yeah. Constant growth mode. That's really interesting. And great story on your first flip. That's really good. Tell me about the Fairman-Adams Project. This is your nonprofit, really close to your heart. When you retired from the NFL, this was the project you dove in on, right?
I started the Fairman-Adams Project. It's breast cancer awareness, and I started about 2012. And I did it in the memory of my mother who died from breast cancer. She died of breast cancer my junior year in in college, right here at Michigan State. And I did it when I was retired because when you're in the league, a lot of guys have these nonprofit organizations and stuff, and they last about 2 or 3 years because they let other people run it, and money ends up getting stolen or anything like that from managers or whatever you want to call it, or it's not properly ran the way it should be ran. So I always said, it's a lot of time is getting taken when you're in the league. I mean, just like it is right now, but in the league is a different story. You couldn't solely put your heart and soul into it if that's what you believe in. So I always said I was going to do it when I retired. So once I retired, that's when I started doing the Fairman-Adams Project, which is, it provides funding from my organization to pay for free mammograms, and if they have a cancer diagnosis, probably they have to get a biopsy. So I pay for the mammograms and a biopsy. And I team with my Creek organization in Dallas-Fort Worth that provides government funding. So if a woman has a cancer diagnosis, they use government funding for free cancer treatment.
That's amazing. And it's still going strong, right? 12 years later, 13 years later now. That's awesome. How many folks have you assisted along that journey, or your unknown numbers at this point?
Oh, Women for the Foundation. I think close to about 200 over the years, because it can do a lot. I do mobile screening, so I take the mobile truck. I don't take it personally. I have them go.
You don't want it.
I have them go to certain areas of Dallas-Fort Worth, so the women can come to the mobile unit, because a lot of them won't come to the actual center.
Okay.
So I have them come to the mobile truck and only do 30 each time, so I have it twice a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great cause. And we're going to say something else on it? Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh, no.
So post NFL, you got into real estate during the NFL. You've still been working on that. Are there other ventures or investments you've made along the way, like in franchising, that type of stuff? You've been involved in other things?
No, I haven't done any franchise or anything like that. A lot of people do restaurants, and I feel that it's just my personal opinion that if you're going to do something like a restaurant, you better be there. Because if you're not there, you're most likely going to get ripped off. I heard stories over and over again how the nuisances and stuff you have to do. If you want to do it, that's perfectly fine, but you have to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, oh, they got cash only or anything like that, especially from restaurant bars, anything like that. Because even though you have to deal with credit cards and stuff these days and Apple Pay, it's not enough cash. They can still find a way to do it. So I've never really done anything in franchise. Say if you want to make a McDonald's or anything or all those like that, you gotta. I mean, it's some hard work. I mean, it's definitely some hard work, and if you don't do it yourself, you're not going to succeed in it at all. I mean, you have to be like every single day to be able to do that.
I love your advice on protect the downside risk, right? Like if you're going to go into business, understand that like people love to talk about the potential returns, but a lot of people don't talk about the potential losses. So I think that is a great lesson that you've applied to your businesses over the years. Have you had any mentors or folks along the way in real estate or other business ventures that have been helpful to you, and any lessons you've learned that you'd share with the students?
Luckily enough, I kind of, you can say, grew up around it with my dad and everything. My dad was a cheap guy, so he didn't spend anything. So like I was telling the people earlier, like, I mean, my dad was a saver, rainy day guy, and my mom was like, charge it. So I mean, everything that she charged, I mean, he paid for it, but whatever. A lot of the stuff I kind of really learned on my own.
Yeah.
And I did it with the help of reading a lot of books concerning real estate, because that's what I was in. And I used to look at magazines or anything. And, right now you can look on the internet and stuff. So back in like 2000, 2001, stuff like, there wasn't like internet around back then, so you'd be able to look it up. So I actually went to the bookstore, pulled out a couple of authors, and found out some things that I need to know by reading those books. I read them from page to page to learn everything I need to know about the real estate business. So that's what educated me to help me do some of that stuff.
That's awesome. Where do you go to search for inspiration now? Like as you think about new businesses moving forward or additional investment, any favorite books, podcasts, things you listen to, things you'd encourage students to check out?
Inspiration. My inspiration for me is to just keep my business flowing in a positive direction. And knowing from what I learned, I do things to be able to keep it afloat. And I look at other people, just for this instance of real estate, I look at and see what they do and see the mistakes that they made. Because normally other people make mistakes, and I'm kind of like in the background. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy did this guy did that. If that happens to him, then if I do that, it might happen to me. So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Or this guy's doing a good job right here, and he did a positive job right there. So if I do that, most likely it's going to happen to me. So usually my inspiration is unfortunately learning from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, well, it's a great way to do it. Is keep a pulse on your industry, watch what's happening. For students who are interested in getting into real estate, I oftentimes have conversations with students, and they're interested in maybe owning rentals or flipping homes and stuff like that. What are some of the things what are some of the tactics or things you would encourage them to think about in terms of lessons learned or things you've seen play out that things to avoid, right?
Yeah, I was fortunate.
Or things to do. Yeah,
there's something to do, but I was fortunate because I was in the NFL, so I was able to fund it myself at the beginning.
Right.
I did do banks before when it comes to stuff like that. You're going to get it one way or the other. So you just got to work at your best to minimize it. But for just say, quote unquote, the regular person that's do it, you just got to figure out, draw a program on what needs to be done to be able to succeed in that and follow that program as best you can. Like say if you wanted to go out and buy a house or rent right now and you want to go to Lansing and buy a house, most likely you're going to have to get a loan. And you got to make sure that loan from that bank is right on what it is and everything that you need to do to pay that loan off and whatever percentage it is that you need to pay off and how much the bank gets when you do that or how much you have to pay if you pay it off because there's a penalty for paying it off early. They don't want you to pay it off early. So you have to look at all of those things. And one of my most important things that I think about, say if you take out a $300,000 loan, how long is it going to take for me to pay that $300,000 back? Because even if you do that, have to pay that $300,000 back and you have a regular job, it's like, okay, it's at this rate, I'm going to get a house and it's going to be $1,500 a month, and then I got to pay a management company if I'm not doing it myself. So that's going to take $400 off a month, and then I got to pay taxes, and then I got to pay upkeep, so that's going to knock it down to $700. So you're going to get $700 a month that you're earning, and you have to pay $300,000 back, and that's on you.
Yeah.
And that's for no hiccups along the way.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that's what you want to do.
The fine print, the numbers.
The fine print.
Yeah.
Always read the fine print.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot hidden in the fine print.
Yeah, it's hidden down there too.
Yeah. What's next for you? Like, what's next in your business ventures? What's got you excited?
Right now, I'm possibly going to go into the commercial thing. I tried the strip malls before, but that was a little bit above my head. And that was years ago. That was about 15 years ago. But I think I'm going to start dabbling into that right now because they started to make a resurgence with how everything is. So, and maybe like some storefront things because I think I accrued enough wealth to try starting that.
Okay, very cool, very cool. All right, well, I've worked through my list, but this is always the fun part, is we can open it up to the audience and have them ask questions of you, if that's cool.
Ask whatever, ask about it.
Yeah. All right, we got mics, so that'll help us when we record it. So they'll be running around handing mics out.
Is there anything you consider as your biggest failed investment?
Biggest failed investment. Biggest failure. Biggest failed investment.
Failed?
Yeah.
When I was doing this subdivision out in Dallas, I had took out a $1.1 million loan out from Capital. Was it Capital One? Capital One. And a lot of things in the fine print that says at the bottom is that they can sell your loan to anybody they want. So meanwhile, everything was cozy with Capital One. I'm making payments on it. After about 13 months, they had sold that loan to another company. I can't remember the company name. So that company bought my loan, and they said, we want our money back.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's like that. So I had hired a lawyer to look at the paperwork and everything that they had bought. Fine print at the bottom. They can buy the loan, and they can ask for it anytime they want to. So I had to take another loan out to pay for that loan off so they can get their money.
Yeah.
So they ended up setting me back a couple of years having to do that loan. So that's one of the worst investments that I did, and I made sure at that time that I would never ever do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Got one here. They're moving.
Oh, they get you.
Yeah.
You talk about reading about real estate. What books do you recommend?
What books do you recommend on real
No,
estate?
I was going to look that book up today when I was talking earlier, but I can't remember what the name is, but I'll find it out and I'll get it back to him.
All right, you get it back to me. I'll
Yes.
get it to them. All right, we got one right here in the middle. Oh, we got one here.
If you had to do it over again, knowing what you know now, how would you invest in real estate? Would you still flip properties or do rental properties or just build from the ground up?
I built from the ground up. One of the things I learned from the real estate that doing when I was growing up is that renting is you work for what you do, you work hard for it, but it's just one of the things that never appeased to me. So once I got into building, I flipped a house and I sold it. I flipped a house and I sold it. And I build a new house and I sell it. So it got to this one time and I built this 5,000 square foot house. And I always told myself that I'm not going to rent. And this one guy wanted to rent the house. And I said, I'm not going to rent. And I said, okay, Flo, rent this house just to prove to yourself that you shouldn't rent this house. I rented that house. It was a nightmare. It took me 18 months to get that dude out that house. He did not want to leave. He had the money. He was paying the rent and everything. But he's like, I want to buy it. I want to buy it. I said, no, you don't want to buy for what I want to sell it for. Well, I've been putting this money into it, and I'm going to pay for this. I said, no, it doesn't work that way. So I had go to court and do all the other stuff and get the sheriff, the constable to go over there and kick him out. I see, that's why I don't want to rent. That was when I disapproved myself that I didn't want to rent. So, yeah, I'm not renting ever again.
I want the toilets. Toilets can't be your problem, right?
Yeah.
You're done with it.
So starting up a nonprofit was something that's so personal to you with your mother. What are some of the challenges that you faced over the years, like with a personal connection to that and like worries and challenges with that?
With your nonprofit, it's very personal to you. Have you faced any challenges in the nonprofit when trying to grow that?
Well, like business-wise? Or an actual... Business-wise, it's not too bad because, you just get the money that, that's donated and then just use it for my money for mammograms and biopsies. But it goes smoothly, and only every year for the nonprofit to be able to fund that stuff with no problem, usually. So all the mammograms I do, biopsies and everything, it's usually not a problem to do it. What the one problem is that trying to get the women to come out. They don't like coming out because I have learned that a lot of women don't want to know that they actually have it. It might sound silly, but a lot of them want to know that they have it. And they find out, so that's what they show. That's why they show. And by the time they go, they find out it's usually too late. So that's probably one of the biggest problems that you get out. I do advertising. I stop by homeless shelters. I even post up at 7-Eleven. I go to the community center. I always put stuff all around the area that the members may be in. But money-wise, it's really not a problem to do because non-profit is 100% funded for the mammograms and the biopsies. And I detail and everything, show where everything's been, all the volunteers, including myself. Don't take any money out of the foundation at all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wait. Okay. So what has been like your biggest musical influence when you're playing in the NFL or growing up? Like who would you go to like clear your mind, get you in the zone, ready for that game? Like who would you say I should listen to?
Ooh, best musical influence.
Oh, music?
Yeah, what music do you like?
Yeah,
When you're in the NFL in particular, I think was the question. Well, what got you ready for the game? What now too?
like when I was a kid?
Sure.
Well, I was always into that when I was young, and the music stuff. So, that was never really a problem. And I was in a band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was in a band I started playing the trumpet when I was 4 years old and did it all the way through high school. And one of the reasons I didn't start playing football until high school, I didn't want to leave the band. And at that time, I had thought that if I joined football, that I would do that. Other than the soccer and play football. But that was fun.
Yeah, what kind of music? Band, like jazz?
I did jazz, concert, symphony, orchestra, marching band. I did all that stuff. Yeah.
But going back to like my original question, who is like a major musical influence? Like what artist?
What artists? Growing up, Motown, anything like that. Uh, uh, I like rock. I have a thing about 60s music. And I like 60s music when it comes to Motown and it comes to the European music, when it comes to the British invasion, when they call it back in the day. So, and they were taking a lot of music and blues from black artists back then. So I liked a lot of that stuff, the way they had infused it with rock. So that would always interest me. And then, I grew up my early years in the 80s. So I like 80s music and stuff. And so being in the band and everything, I just like listening to the music and the times and everything. I can call a mistake. Even today, if I'm going home listening to satellite radio, I can hear a mistake and like, oh, he messed up on that note. And they actually put that stuff out. But that's what influenced me, more of R&B, soul, and rock. I'm not much of a country guy. Yeah, do you think this country today is more pop?
It is.
So, that kind of stuff is okay, but like real country music, anything like, I don't like the blues. I don't like blues music. It's like depressing to me.
That's why it's called it, right?
Yeah, I like jazz, but I don't like the blues. So, and heavy metal. I don't like heavy metal, but rock and all other stuff. So, and R&B, that's what influenced me.
Yeah, I like the blues riffs and like rock riffs, but like the message is like not all that.
Yeah, yes, definitely. That's how I feel about it too.
All right. Other question?
Hi. Earlier you mentioned that one of your red flags was cost. So when it comes to investing, what would you say is another red flag you would look out for?
Anything you look out for when you're doing investing, besides looking at the downside risk, anything else you'd recommend to protect,
For
protect the
investing?
downside? Yeah.
It depends what you like. I mean, it's hard to say. What do you like?
She doesn't know.
All right. Well, once you figure out what you like, you just got to think about if what you want to invest in, or how much you want to invest in, or how you're going to pursue it, or what you're going to do with it once you invest in it, or how much time you're going to put in it. And then a lot of things that I tell people about is if whatever you do when you invest in things, you got to normally have a significant other, whoever that is, and they get affected too for what you're doing. So you have to think about the other people too if you really care for them, except because what happens to you happens to them. So, you come home having a bad day, you're going to give, him or her a bad day or whatever it is. So you have to think about those things too. But whatever your love is and whatever you want to invest in, that's what you have to do. Definitely, whatever you want to do, you have to do a lot of research. You always got to research. Like, say if you want to do invest in a rental property and stuff, you have to look through the history of that property. You can even go on a county website and stuff and see all the people who bought the house and everything, and how it accrued over the years, and how much it cost with taxes and stuff, because that's public knowledge. And if that particular county or city doesn't have it, you can go, what do they call it, the account receivable building or whatever it's called, like that.
Deeds office of the
Yeah,
deeds.
deeds office or something like that. And they have all the records you need. It's public information. You can ask for it. And sometimes if it costs, it's usually like $5 just to pull a contract out for those things. So always know the history of what you want to invest in, and probably look up on somebody else who probably invested in something similar to what you're trying to invest in, to see if they made mistakes or how they didn't make mistakes on things that they did to be successful or things they did to fail. So, but whatever you do, always do the research you could possibly
Do the
can.
research.
You can never do enough research. And to this day, I research. So you always have to research everything that you're going to be able to invest in.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Is this on? Oh. Yep. Did you find that your teammates were making similar financial decisions as you?
Were your teammates in the NFL thinking the same way you were with financial decisions?
Were they good at it?
Or no, were they making the same? Were they making investments and thinking the same way you were about business when?
No. I would say if I put a percentage on it, I said most of them failed, like 60% of them failed. Because one of the things the guys want to do, they want to invest in bars and stuff because most people, those guys want to be seen. Like, oh, like say if I did it, Flozell has a bar, let's go check out the bar, and you're feeling real good, and you want to be seen and all that other stuff, and eventually it's not going to work as well as it is because they're going into it not prepared. And the things you have to do to be able to succeed in that business, there's insurance and deal with the hazard insurance and umbrellas and all other stuff, and the lawsuits you probably have to deal with these days because, I mean, you can get a guy that get drunk and go over here on Grand River and he crashing all the way down Holt and he can sue you. So those ones, you got to think about all of that stuff that happens when it comes to that. And most of those guys, when they do it, they don't do it themselves. I'm a hands-on person when it comes to the business. I'm hands-on. So even sometimes when I was by my locker and I had when I was doing my business, when I was playing, I was checking my messages and doing everything I have to do when I had to check on the business. And sometimes, as tired as I would go drive to the house and make sure that everything was fine. But those guys, most of those guys, they would invest in stuff that's not beneficial. And I felt that if they would have been hands-on with the business they invest in, whether it's restaurants and bars, that's usually the main one that the failings come in. If they would have been hands-on with that stuff, they probably would have been successful if they really, really wanted it to be.
Wait, I have a question. This dawned on me. When you were drafted, was Troy Aikman still quarterback?
Yes, he was still quarterback.
Did you care about his face then? Are you still?
I liked his face.
Okay, you liked his face then. I was just making sure. That just dawned on me.
Nah, I was just happy to be on the team. You know, it was one of those surreal moments I'll never forget. My rookie year, they have this, this big old whirlpool. I mean, this thing is probably like a quarter the size of the room, and after practice, you have all these aches and bumps and all that stuff, so you just go soak in the whirlpool with clothes on. Yeah. So, and I'll never forget that time I was sitting right there and all of those, one of those moments that just captured yourself. You take a mental picture of it, and I remember seeing like Troy and Emmett and Dion and Darren Woodson, Michael Irving. How can I forget that guy? Yeah. And all of those guys were there, and at that point I was like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys that I betted against all these years. I'm sitting right here next to them. So a lot of people don't think just because you're a player that you're not a fan. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm still a fan. Like, I meet guys that I've played against and everything, and I'm a fan. Yeah. Like, I was at the basketball arena earlier, and Barry Sanders' son is on the team and stuff. I talked to him about, man, I went geek mode when I had met your father. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. We're fans, too, so we just like it.
That's a cool moment. Yeah. We got time probably for one more. So, time check? Yeah, we got one more student. I was curious. I just want to make sure you.
Hello, sir. My name is Tim. Obviously, thank you for coming. Sharing your story. One of the questions I want to ask is, if you had, for example, $100,000, in what market would you start a business? Like penetrate a market, any market?
Ooh.
If I had $100,000 right now, what type of business would I invest in? Right now, at this moment, if I had $100,000, I would just buy something raw land.
Raw land.
Raw land. You're never not going to lose any money on raw land. That's your bank account. Instead of paying interest in a bank account, sitting in a savings account or a checking account, getting like 3% right now, it's not even that. It might be like 1.5, 1.9% if you put it in some type of bank account, if it's not any type of mutual fund or tax-free dividend or anything like that. Just buy raw land. You'll never lose your money with that, and it's going to accrue over the year. You can sell that thing. I bought raw land and just sat on it. And I was talking to people earlier about this. I had bought this one lot. This is the one in Dallas. And I knew I wasn't going to build on it. It was like near a commercial area. And I paid like $125,000 for it or something like that. And I knew I was going to build it. And I had sat on it for like 10 years, maybe 12. And I think I paid probably, all these numbers are going in my head because of everything I had to think about. I think like $38,000 in taxes with it for like 10, 12 years. And I sold it for 1.1 million.
There you go. Yeah.
So you're never going to lose any money going from just on raw land. If I had $100,000 raw land, and then of course it depends. Like, you can't go like south of 96 or something and just buy some farmland or something like that. That's not going to change it. But if you find $100,000 and you find like somewhere around here, universities are perfect. Because they're always trying to build something around here where they're tearing down stuff and building it up, or anywhere, wherever they're doing the gentrification in Lansing. I don't know exactly where they're doing it, but it just happens. It's just the way it is. I mean, they're doing some gentrification in Lansing, anything like that. I mean, find some land. I mean, they're probably giving some away for $15,000-$20,000 right now. So eventually, in the next 5 or 6 years, when they're going to start tearing those houses down and build new ones, or you can rehab a house or anything like that, you make a profit. So that's what I would do with $100,000.
That's awesome. That's a good way to wrap it up. Get out there and buy your raw land. I love it. Can you stick around for a few minutes and take any questions from folks who want to? Cool. Well, thanks for coming out tonight, everyone. Really appreciate it. Let's thank Flozell for making it back to campus. It is a diehard Spartan, and if anyone wants to ask some questions in person, he's willing to hang out for a few. So thanks, Flozell. Really
Thank you.
It, man. Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for coming.